Hello friends, welcome to episode 106 of Freshly Grounded. This episode is with Tim Randle. Tim's been on the podcast before, guys, and it was a very, very popular episode. You guys really enjoyed having him on. I enjoyed him being a guest. Tim's a very good friend of mine. I really sincerely do love him for the sake of Allah, and it's lovely to have him back. In this episode, we discuss Eid for reverts. We discuss Ramadan for reverts. We discuss what it's like for Tim now to be married, as spending Ramadan as a married man. We talk about his parents and his family, who he really, really sincerely loves a lot, and you can kind of see that shining through, in the last episode and even in this one too. We discuss kind of towards the end, making sure that Eid is not a celebration for the Shaitan's welcome back party, and a few other bits and bobs. Guys, it is the last 10 nights and it's almost Eid. We should really make the most of donating our money and giving sadaqah. As this episode gets released, it's going to be the 27th night of Ramadan tonight. And so please do utilize that by, brothers and sisters, donating to the Spot Academy. Spot, as you guys know, is a charity that we've been working with since Freshly Grounded started. It's how Freshly Grounded story actually began in Gambia when we were out there on a charity trip. We're building a school, a mosque, and a sleeping area for the children. We want to finish off the school, inshallah, where they can learn Islamic studies as well as secular studies and skills, so they can learn, they can build their lives after school. These are orphans for the most part that are in this school, so you're going to be helping an orphan. And the way you can do it, brothers and sisters, is by going to freshlygrounded.com/spot. That's freshlygrounded.com/spot. We know of there's a narration that Tariq from Muntada was telling me about, and it was that Aisha radiallahu anha, when she used to give sadaqah, she used to put perfume on the money, and because she believed that the sadaqah would pass through the hands of Allah when she gave it, and so she used to put perfume on it. SubhanAllah, what an amazing narration from our mother Aisha radiallahu anha. And it was Ibn Qayyim who said that if the people knew that the sadaqah would pass through the hands of Allah, they would enjoy giving more. SubhanAllah. Look at that, that's amazing. Also, guys, before I go, our Patreon page is patreon.com. That's patreon.com/freshly grounded. If you join our Patreon page, it costs about £5 a month, and what you're able to do is you're able to support Freshly Grounded. You're able to help us keep afloat, keep our head above water, and kind of cover some costs in Freshly Grounded. It really does support us, but you get a whole bunch of perks for it, guys. We're not just asking for donations here. It's a premium membership where you get every episode of Freshly Grounded early. The audio is always early, and if we can get the video out in time, we also will give the video early. It'll be one day early, and you also get some exclusive discounts and a bunch of other stuff. Now's a great time to join our Patreon, guys. patreon.com/freshly grounded. Do check it out. And without any further ado, this is episode 106 with Timothy Randle.
And welcome to Freshly Grounded, the brand new podcast by best friends Faisal and Sam.
Huh?
I said welcome to Freshly Grounded,
After that bit.
the brand new podcast
And after that bit?
by best friends Faisal and Sam.
Really?
Okay, Timothy Randle. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
How do you do, sir?
I'm very good. How do you?
Alhamdulillah. How do I?
It's good.
I'm good.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, bro. It's nice to have you back.
It's very nice. Very nice. Alhamdulillah. It's exciting. But
You've dressed up for us today, which I never do.
I thought, I'm not going to go for the pious look because I'm not pious.
No, last time you came in the throw, I expected you in the throw.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. But you came in some nice True Religion denim, nice True Religion denim shirt. I'm just trying to paint a picture for those who are viewing but not, who are listening but not viewing. Yeah, and some.
Oh, do that.
So look. Oh, you've got some jeans and some, maybe, I don't know, potentially Converses, I'm not sure.
You're baiting me out right now.
I'm not quite sure, alhamdulillah. Bro, how's Ramadan going, man? I say that, but I've seen you most of Ramadan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's going good. I'm enjoying it. But at the same time, I think we'll all feel like this. We all feel like we haven't made the most of it. But inshallah, these last 10 days is definitely a benefit, and it's a wake-up call. And I think the last 10 days really we should try and benefit, because myself, I've always felt like this every Ramadan. I feel like, I've not done enough. But then it comes to the last 10 days, it's all for some reason you're like, you pick it up like instinctively. You just pick it up.
It's probably the hardest doing the for you guys, because you obviously you work at Iman channel.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, who haven't listened to the previous podcast, Tim is is on the production team at Iman channel, and so for you guys, the Ramadan is such a peak time. It's like the peak of TV for Islamic TV, and so for you guys, I suppose most people are trying to get more time off work during Ramadan for worship, but you guys are like in fifth gear.
Yeah. To be honest, it's not so much Ramadan when it's crazy. It's before Ramadan.
Okay.
Because we have to get all our content ready for Ramadan.
Okay.
Etc. So that was the craziest time, and we had a load of kids shows we had to make, as well as all we had the kids shows to make, as well as the knowledge-based programs as well. So it was really busy before Ramadan. That's the craziest time. But yeah, throughout Ramadan, it's a bit more relaxed. It's not too much, not too heavy. It's not too in your face. Got something in my eye.
Is this your first Ramadan as a married man?
Second.
Okay.
Literally, as soon as I got married, I was married for a month.
Okay.
And then Ramadan came straight in.
So how is it this time, kind of being like properly being able to take Ramadan in as like a settled married man then?
You know, it's a lot different
Really?
to when I first became Muslim. If you really compare it, and I'm sure a lot of reverts can relate to this, yeah, your first Ramadan as a new Muslim is, not only is it beautiful, you understand it and you're like, wow, subhanAllah, it's such it feels really, you feel content on the day, but there's also that side where you're on your own. You don't have a Muslim family, so it's very hard for you to kind of really grasp it and understand it from a family point of view. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So the past 2 Ramadans has been beautiful because I've spent time obviously with my family and etc. And that's allowed me to reap the benefits of being with a family in Ramadan. Whereas, you know, I saw a post, when was it? About 2 days ago on Facebook, and this post was talking about a revert sister, right? And this revert sister, she experienced Ramadan in the park, right? And this was a big Eid, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Oh, Eden Park.
No, not our Eden. I'm not sure which Eid in the park it was, but she was at the back, obviously, with the sisters, etc. She's done her Eid Salah, and the Eid Salah's finished now, okay? And everyone's got up. You know, after Eid Salah, everyone's finished, the khutbah's finished, everyone's congratulating each other, shaking hands, hugging each other, kids are running around, etc., etc. She said, subhanAllah, she was sat there on her own. She's a new revert. I think she said 6 months or something. And she, subhanAllah, she saw the kids running around, having a laugh, people taking selfies, all these families running around together. And she was sat there on her own. SubhanAllah. And then she said she went to her car. She went to the car and she sat there on her own on Eid day. And she was making dua, subhanAllah, for her family to become Muslim. So she can experience it as a family. Because she saw these kids running around, laughing, enjoying it. And she, subhanAllah, she went and she felt sad, but she pulled herself together and she made dua for her family to become Muslim, and she saw the beauty of Islam as well. So she said, you know what, she saw that she was on her own, but she took it in a good way and revolved it around making dua for her parents and understanding the ni'mah of Islam. And you know, it's hard for Muslims, revert Muslims, especially when they become Muslim and they get in this situation where they feel lonely in Eid. And I think it's really important that we talk about that, because Eid is around the corner, and you know.
Yeah, as we put this podcast episode out, it'll be a few days away, to be honest.
Yeah, it's honestly it's hard, man, because I personally as well, wallahi, my first and second Eid, there was my friend, he said, yeah, come around, and I ate with my teacher when I first became Muslim. I ate with him, I went to his family's house, etc. But after that was it, and I had nothing to do. I was sat at home with my parents. You know, they did that. They said Eid Mubarak and all these things, my parents, and they gave me 1 or 2 gifts. But after that, I wasn't with my family. I wasn't with friends. I was a new Muslim. I didn't know many people who were Muslim, per se. So it was very hard for me, and it's hard. It makes you feel lonely, especially when you're a new Muslim as well. Because when you first take your Shahada, wow, there's so many people. Oh, they're giving you congratulations. They're doing all these things, and then when it comes to Eid, you're on your own, akhi.
SubhanAllah. Especially on a day when all of your companions you'll be seeing on social media, they're enjoying their time with their family. And it is like one of those days where I don't know for anyone else, but for me and for the people around me, it tends to be like a very big family day. So it's very family oriented.
Yes.
You go to this family's house, you go to this auntie's house, and that kind of stuff. So your friends will probably be all busy with their families, right?
The only time they wouldn't be busy is in the evening. Yeah, you got to try and duck out from your family as much as
that's like always been the thing with Eid. Like it's like in the morning. The Eid plan is always like in the mornings you go to one family's house, then like by the afternoon it's like there's lunch at this auntie's house, and then in the evenings you're trying to duck out so you could like go out with your friends or something. Now as a married person, it's changed now. Now it's like, in the mornings, you go to like, for example, we'll go to my family's house, and then in the afternoons we'll go to my wife's family's house, and then I'm like trying to sneak out in the evening so that I can take her out on like a date or something.
Exactly. Of course.
Yeah, man. I think that's important as well, man. Like, alhamdulillah, now that we're married, and they're explaining the importance of, or not explaining the importance, sorry, but really increasing the beauty of Eid with your spouse. So like treating it like a really special day, especially as we don't do birthdays and stuff, and you do feel a bit of guilt throughout the year because it's what's normal.
Because you're just on a whole month as well for your own ibadah, and yourself is based around yourself. Now after Ramadan you can really spend time together. Definitely, you're right. 100%.
Book a nice restaurant, like a really nice day. So I think that's important, man. So I've been like hard at work trying to find like a nice spot. So alhamdulillah, I've booked us a nice joint for but it's actually for like 2 days after.
Give it away now, bro.
I know she knows. So she knows that first of all, she doesn't especially how did. Second of all, she knows that I've booked something, but I've told her it's a surprise, so she doesn't know where I booked. But I booked somewhere really, really nice. I would say where it is, but on the off chance that she does hear, I don't want to say it. But I booked a really nice place, and I've got like a nice plan for the evening. So, man, I think it's important. And there's loads of quirky little things that we can do around the like a year, or like little things we could do for our spouses, especially us living in London that we don't know about. Like one really cool thing that I came across, and I'll say it because I'm not doing it now because I booked another. Like this nice restaurant, but I was thinking in East London somewhere there's a yacht hotel. So it's
it's Dawah Hotel.
What is it called?
It's Dawah Hotel. It's in Newham, isn't it? Next to.
I'm not sure.
It looks like a boat.
Because there's a Good Hotel, which is a boat.
It's right next to XL.
No. That's the Good Hotel.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Maybe there's another one. But we stayed in Good Hotel, which it's like a boat next to the XL. Yeah, it's really cool.
Sick, yeah.
But this was a yacht, and it was decently priced as well. But it wasn't. You don't get the whole yacht. You just obviously it's a room.
Oh, I know it. Is it opposite? There's like a Lebanese restaurant next to it.
I don't know because I saw it on Booking.com. So I haven't actually.
I used to live right next to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to live in Newham. All the way.
Maybe you're right. He's definitely in East, so maybe you're right. And so that's a cool idea. You could book so there's little things. Living in London, we have the benefit of these quirky things that pop up around London and stuff, which we don't always take advantage of. So there's like nice romantic things.
Definitely.
Which I'm speaking about this now because the reason I speak about it is because yesterday I imagine. Look, you can tell I've been doing the live.
All night you've been talking.
Yesterday I imagine the young guys were there, right? Like these the North African society, so like all these Moroccan, Algeria and young like sweet boys was there, innit? All about marriage and stuff. And I was telling them about I was telling them about the fact that me and Sonny. So Sonny is a really cool guy who we got coming on the podcast soon, inshallah. Who he's got an amazing story. His daughter actually. Do you know Sonny?
I don't think I do.
Sonny, so his daughter passed away at I think 3 or 4 years old from a congenital heart disease. So she had 3 holes in her heart, I think, and then she actually, alhamdulillah, the hospital managed to fix it because we're in the UK. But she died of shock in the end. May Allah grant her Jannah. And we know the children in Jannah. And he said he has a really cool way of looking at mourning, and he looks at it in a way that. Instead of looking at the fact that she's passed away, he focuses on his next meeting with her, and he knows that children get Jannah, right? So she's got Jannah, inshallah. So now he just has to work towards Jannah and he can meet her again.
Inshallah,
which is beautiful.
subhanallah.
Yeah. So
that's a good way of looking at it.
It's a beautiful way to mourn, man. And to be honest, that's how I started looking at my, like when my granddad passed away. I know everybody has like grandparents who pass away, because it's very normal to have grandparents who pass away, being like 2 generations older than you. But when my granddad did pass away, and I started practicing shortly after, that's how I started looking at it, because he was my best friend, man. And so to lose like a granddad is one thing, but to lose like a person that you love to speak to all the time, love to be around, it changed my whole perception of mourning so quickly when I started seeing things like that. And I was no longer constantly upset, but I was like, I'm going to see him one day, inshallah. All I have to do is make dua for him to get Jannah, and like do deeds that will inshallah get him to Jannah. That's the deeds that are still permissible for me to do for him. And then secondly, me myself work towards Jannah, and then inshallah there's no doubt that we will meet and we will both be 33. Inshallah. We're young, we can chat about the other day. But anyway, so these young boys were there, and so we were talking about marriage, right, naturally. So me and Sunny were talking about marriage, and me and Sunny being the guys who are married. Obviously I've been married, I think now, alhamdulillah.
Sunny. Oh, Sunny. Last night?
Yeah.
The Yemeni brother?
No, that's Sammy. Oh. Yeah. So Sunny's been married even longer than me, obviously. He's like in his 30s or something. And so he's probably been married, must be married like, you know, anywhere between 5 and 10 years. So we were telling the boys about marriage. These guys at 19, 20, they're like eager to get married, like how we all were at 19, and we were telling them about how the idea of marriage and being romantic with your wife, and having that balance. So like a common mistake, and obviously none of us are marriage experts, but that common mistake of maybe like working so much that you don't see your wife at all, and then like wondering why your home life isn't ideal. And they were like, well, how do you know? We were like telling them that you'll know you married the right person when you know you've married the right person when you can't wait to like you when you want to travel with them, not like travel to get away from them, right? Like you think of holidays and you think like, oh, I want to go on this holiday with that person because they're your best friend.
There's also another thing as well when you're away, right? And this might sound strange, but sometimes it's the little things, the little subtle things that ends up being a massive factor in your relationship. For instance, when you're going away, or you're like, for instance, I was working away at one point for a weekend, and there was a load of stalls at this place I was going to. So I thought, you know what, let me buy something from this stall and I can bring it back, so it doesn't look like I'm just coming.
You thought about how you were there, right?
Yeah, and then you're doing the little thing of purchasing something, and then giving it to her to show, you know what, whilst I was away, I was thinking about you. Or when you're there, etc., you're conversing, or any of these, just the little things. Honestly, it's amazing. And there was one retreat that I went on to. It was a Sabil retreat, and Sheikh Shokor, he gave an amazing way, an analogy of how you should look at something, and when you're coming back home and meeting your wife and your spouse, is that show that whilst you was away, you changed. Right? So when you've gone away, you've made a change in yourself, and you've really developed in yourself. You've learnt knowledge, you've took things in, and you've changed yourself. So when you get back and you express this to your wife, next time you go away, it's going to be a lot easier for her to understand that you're going away. You're not just going away, coming back, being the same person as that when you first left, right? So doing the little things, maybe coming back, being a different person, maybe saying something nice to her, or coming back and giving her a little gift. Little things in the relationship, honestly, it goes far. Even before I got married, when I went to meet the parents of my wife, right, I gave a little gift. I think I spoke about this in my last point. Giving a little gift, doing the little things, honestly, it sets a good mood. Yeah,
it's important, man. I think, and that's what we were talking to the boys about. We were basically saying to them, like, it's about having that balance. On one end, like not every day working late and then coming home late and then wondering why your home life's a mess. So you're giving the right attention and giving that right balance. And then on the other end, also having that understanding with your wife that sometimes if you do need to work late, why you're doing it, and always communicating so that everything's always good. And they said, well, how do you know if you've married the right person? And Sadie said, well, you look forward to going home, and you're not trying to avoid going home, and you're actually looking forward to it. If you're avoiding going home, that's the problem. There's a problem there. And so we talked about that, and then I was mentioning to them, this is the peak of the story, what I was getting at, is that there's 2 ahadith about marriage, and they're both from Aisha radiallahu anha, or about Aisha radiallahu anha, which both really opened my eyes up a lot with marriage. I'm not saying that I'm perfect at all, but they just opened my eyes out, right? And one of them I heard before I was married, and this is when I first started practicing. I would listen a lot to this teacher from America. I can't remember his name, but he's a white Muslim, not a revert. His parents were reverts, and he does a lot of talks about like marriage and all that kind of stuff. And so he basically said, he mentioned a hadith, a narration, which I can't remember word for word, but essentially, Aisha radiallahu anha saw some commotion in the street, and she said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like, oh look, there's some like commotion going on in the street. And so him being like aware of his wife and stuff, like he always wanted to, like when he was with her, it was her time, right? And so he would like do whatever she wanted. So she said, oh look what's happening. He could see that she was interested in it, so he like for her sake was like looking at what was happening in the street. Yeah. And if you imagine a picture, so he's looking out on the street and she's like behind him, and she's like resting her chin on his shoulder, and like her cheek is like next to his cheek, and they're watching this for ages. And then after that, the narration says that Aisha radiallahu anha, she said in the narration that she wasn't even concerned at all about the commotion in the street, but she was pretending to, just so her cheek could be next to the cheek of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for longer. Look how beautiful that is, bro. And look at even the beauty in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who first of all, we know that he was smarter than any of us, right? So he maybe even knew, but even if he didn't, like that when it was her time, bro, like he'd spend time with her. That's one hadith. Another hadith is when so Aisha radiallahu anha is at home, right? And this one I heard actually on my first ever Light Upon Light from Mufti Menk, this one. She's at home, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is out, and he comes home late. You know, something that we all probably do sometimes. Like sometimes we're so busy that we come home late. Subhanallah, look how even to this day, 1400 years later, the story of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam relates to us. Sometimes we caught up in our work, bro, and we forget to update our family, etc. So we come home late, right? So he comes home late. So he's not home yet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Aisha radiallahu anha, she gets a bit like, she starts thinking that, oh, maybe he's with one of his other wives, and she starts getting a bit jealous, you know. So she's like a bit annoyed, so she locks the door, bro. She locks the front door, so he can't go home. Yeah. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes home now, and he clocks that the door's locked. And at this point, Mufti Menk, he said, and I think it was Mufti Menk, but it might have been, in hindsight, actually, I believe it was Mansour Salami, actually, and he goes, what would you imagine what you would do if you came home and your wife locked your door? Bro, it'll be arms house. You'd be like,
what's going on?
Like, what's going on? I pay the rent in this yard. Like, how dare you? If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be living here. Like, madness, bruv. Like, we say stuff like, we go mad. Bruv, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam clocked, that the reason she locked the door, etc. And he had a nickname for her. That he was like, his cute name for her, it was Aish. So that was like, his cute name. And so he started saying, Aish, Aish. He started serenading her, like, to the point where her heart became so soft that she came and she unlocked the door herself. But how beautiful is that, bro? So when you hear these stories, you start thinking like, this is our role model, and we have to look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as our role model in everything. But when it comes to our home life, we forget. So people often say, look, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was at home, he used to help with the housework. No one's saying, bro, that you have to have a rota, and you have to every day, like when you wake up 9 a.m, cool, time to clean. But when you're at home, bro, like, and people often talk about the hadith, but how often do we practice it, bro? Like, how often do we actually, like, without our missus or our family telling us, you just think, oh, home is on Sundays, and you just say to yourself, oh, you know, in my head, Sundays are the days I'm gonna like clean the bathrooms. Like, I'm just gonna go there, I'm gonna scrub the toilets. Like, actually, someone has to scrub the toilets. I mean, who's gonna do it? You're just gonna have dirty toilets all your life.
Can't expect your wife to
right?
do it.
So actually, sometimes I think that we forget, and I'm talking about this myself as well, that we forget about the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in those aspects, and we always talk about how perfect he was and how we should follow him in every way of life, and we have to talk about the fact that if the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam he taught us how to relieve ourselves, akhi, the lowest act that we can do,
so many things,
the lowest act. So if he didn't teach us, if he taught us that, how to relieve ourselves, akhi, the what we should do in that, then do you think that he has not taught us about subhanallah how to treat our wives, how to give da'wah, all this kind of stuff, sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Even it's the simplest thing is just ironing your own clothes, to be honest.
Is what?
Ironing your own clothes.
Sahih.
Honestly, like from a young age, I've always ironed my own clothes, and I actually felt weird when other people started ironing my own clothes. So just to take a little bit of weight off your wife's shoulder, it does go a long way.
No, I reckon it's true. It's true.
Yeah,
I like you saying. No one's saying that you have to switch the roles and do you know what I mean? But there's a difference between. I think if you have a good relationship in community, you say, look, these are the things that I do. Like these are the things that I maybe expect before you get married. Like these are my expectations. We discussed this on last podcast, didn't you?
Yeah.
You said that look, you outlined, look, these are my expectations. What are your expectations? So you're aware of each other's expectations. Look,
understanding.
You understand. You say like, look, these are. I'm quite, because I think I told my missus quite early on that I'm quite traditional in some aspects. In some aspects, I'm quite a traditional.
What are you traditionally, bro?
What am I traditionally? I'll be giving you my secrets, but I'm not traditional
Food,
in other things.
traditionally food, because you get chaiwala all the time, bro.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm quite traditional in my food, but not that I have to have dinner cooked for me every day. I'm not that. I'm not like, oh, it must be that. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I cooked dinner the other night. And I was proud of it.
Bro, I love just some beans and egg and chips and that stuff.
So British.
White man food.
Such a lad.
Sometimes I just
Sam
like
would
it.
love you.
Honestly, speak to Farouk about it as well. Sometimes I just love it, man.
Farouk loves it. But remember the first iftar that we had at Iman Chan
Yeah,
this year?
yeah.
And Farouk was like, "Oh boys, we're having fish and
Where's the
chips. Where
chips?
can we get fish? Oh, I fancy a halal stuff. I'm not even trying to change. I'm not even trying to put on the accent. That's how he talks.
When we used to work in West London,
Mumkin halal savloy. Mumkin a halal savloy will go down perfect.
bro, when me and him used to work in West London, everyone's going out to get rice, chicken, or me and him, there's a fish and chippy around the corner, halal one, which go back.
Our fish and chippy will be Jayyid.
After
You know what I love about Farouk is where he just puts his little Arabic words. Akhi, the other day, the funniest thing, like one of the first days we did in Ramadan with your man, he goes, you know, obviously min in Arabic is from, I think you might have been producing this day. And he goes, there were some boys, min out Birmingham.
He puts his Dagenham accent on his mid-out, bro. Yeah, Allah Akbar.
Bless him, Akhi. But I will try and get through on this podcast. I really want him on before he goes to Medina. He's the best, bro.
No, you have to get him on.
I really want to be so busy.
Yeah. You have to get him on, man.
Oh man, bro. We completely went off tangent then because we started talking about so many different things. But I want to go back to.
Sorry, one second. He's not even far from here.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, sorry.
We went off tangent, and the thing that you were touching on, I think is very important, and it's Eid for reverts, and I'm glad you touched on it, because it's so important, and perhaps it's something that we as born Muslims forget about a lot. The idea that we do have family, we are busy. Yeah. How can perhaps born Muslims who have revert friends who are new to the deen, who don't necessarily have their own families, how can they incorporate them?
You know what? It's taking some time out. And making maybe your family understand, like I need to do this per se myself as well, because I understand it. I think this Eid, I'm going to try and do it myself, is take some time out yourself and message a revert, ask them how their day, even if it's a message, ask them how's your day going, ask them how your day's going, you know, invite them maybe around for food if your family are okay with it, or these kind of things, just the little subtle things for the reverts. They need that kind of encouragement, or ask them how the day's going, give them a nice message. I think, you know, a message can go a long way, and an invitation can go even further, because when my friend brought me around, he invited me around with their family. I felt so comfortable, and these were the pinnacles of me beginning to practice, because I saw the beauty of Islam. If you don't see that straight away, and you feel like people are shundering you, you're not going to want to start practicing. You're going to be like, okay, what's this? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because when I became Muslim, Ramadan came in literally about within a few weeks. And Ramadan came in, I was like, wow, I'm going to fast. I fasted all the way throughout Ramadan. And then it came to Eid, and I was like, what's going on? What do I do? And then my teacher invited me around. I went to his house for food in the morning, etc. They even gave me gifts. Akhi. Wallah, it was amazing, mashallah. May Allah bless him. And I really, really, really honestly benefit from that. But then I went home, because, you know, I thought, you know, leave them to it, the family, I don't want to burden them. And then, you know, I was left alone, and I didn't have a family who were Muslim, and etc. And then when I saw this post the other day, honestly, as ajeeb as it sounds, I wasn't thinking about how I used to think for Eid, because I was a bit lonely, etc. But when I saw this message, it really made me ponder about, there was some points where obviously my teacher wasn't there, he was away, etc. So I was on my own, and there was some Eids where I was on my own, and it's really hard, right? But all it takes is that message. Without them messaging you, you message them. Yeah, how's your Eid going? what do you want to do? Do you want to do something? If you want, you can come around for some food, etc., etc. Because I might try that myself, and I think it's an initiative. Maybe if anyone has a close friend that's a revert, and you know they're going to be on that, and try and do something that can maybe benefit them and make them feel that they're welcome in the ummah, etc.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, Roadside to Islam, when Abu Bakr was more in the UK, they used to do a Eid for reverts every year, and that was very successful. I think you also have an advantage.
Even like Eid in the parks, for instance.
Yeah.
Right? Iman Channel, they've got an Eid in the park. Maybe invite your revert friends if you don't want to bring them to your house or etc. If maybe they don't, maybe the family or etc. Maybe bring them to the park and go and enjoy some fun with them in the park. Have some food with them, go out, etc. Do something just very simple that can make them feel.
It's very important to make it a special day, man.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you have some revert brothers and sisters, and a lot of revert brothers and sisters are very supportive families. But we mentioned before on the last podcast that you have something that some revert brothers and sisters perhaps struggle with, and that's a very supportive family with regards to your conversion and stuff. And you mentioned just now that when you did Eid, even though you were the only Muslim in your family, they still said,
they're coming. SubhanAllah, my parents, they're coming for Eid.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was going to ask you that. So why are they coming? Are they coming for Eid?
Yeah, they're coming for Eid.
Wow.
Yeah, SubhanAllah.
So what? They just knew that.
They did it last year. They did it not the year before that, because past 2 years they've been coming for Eid. The last Eid in the park. You remember Eid in the park?
Did they come to Eid in the park?
Yeah,
I didn't see them that day.
They came. They were because my family-in-law, they got foster kids, so they came, and my mum, she really can relate with my mother-in-law, etc. And my mum really enjoys being around for Eid as well. So it's a good time. Having my mum and dad there is really nice.
Oh, that's lovely. So, how did that conversation go about? Were they just like, it's Eid?
Yeah, I don't know. My mum enjoys obviously seeing me, but at this time, because she knows that it's a time for celebration for Muslims, she thought, let me come and see him and show him some love, etc. And it's really good. I think it's really nice for her to come and experience what it's like for Muslims when we celebrate things like Eid. Alhamdulillah. And she at the first though, when I first thought there's another Eid coming, mum, she was like, what's going on? You guys celebrate? Yeah. But I explained it to her, etc. And within my family-in-law, they don't really. For the second one, I don't know. They don't really buy gifts, but it's a bit of a
bro. With Asian families, bro, that's normal, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're the same. I'm not surprised that you're the Eid.
It's just about eating the second one. It's about eating.
Yeah, man. It's weird because I don't. This is completely cultural, by the way. But this is how I've always known it growing up. Is that the Eid after Ramadan is the big one. You go celebrate. You get gifts. You give money to the kids. Everything's like you're so excited. The second one, is like. Bro, it's just like you go for Eid Salah, and in fact, most people even still work that day, which is a shame because, but we always called it the big Eid, the second one, the one after Hajj. So we called it the big Eid, but the big Eid felt like the one that was after Ramadan. I don't know why it was called the big Eid. I don't understand any of that.
I think mentally people, I think it's a sign of accomplishment once you finish Ramadan. Like Eid's here.
No, but I'm saying that culturally we've always called the other one the big Eid.
One.
I don't know why. But we should celebrate both. But yeah, you're right. So even to this day, like we'll do celebrations big on this one after Ramadan, and then the other one, there's no gifts or nothing. It's more so like you said, like let everyone's off for Eid. Let's do Eid dinner.
Yeah. Nice, good. SubhanAllah. You're intending for Hajj, innit?
I had intention for Hajj this year, but this year I'm not able to make it. So inshallah, I have intention for next year, and I'm already seeing the beauty in why Allah has destined it this way, and I think inshallah ta'ala, if Allah allows me to live that long, that Eid next year, Hajj next year will be perfect for me and my family, inshallah. So, are you planning to go eat Hajj this year?
Not this year. Next year, inshallah.
Next year?
Maybe in a few years' time, because
Should we go together?
I'd love to go together, bro. I'd love to go together. It's just, financially, it does. It burns the pocket, but like you said, I remember you were saying to me, like, having just the intention, just keep it every year. If you don't go, khalas, you don't go. Make the intention that you're going to go.
Maybe you never know. Good, and you die with the intention.
You never know, exactly. You never know what's going to come your way.
Yeah, Allah will facilitate. How many times have you made the intention for something and somehow Allah's facilitated? Okay, we need to just stop. We as a ummah just need to stop like questioning Allah. We just need to rely on Him because subhanAllah, He just always has you covered.
All the time.
Always.
All the time, alhamdulillah.
SubhanAllah. I often say to when some of my friends, if they're going through like a rough time, I say to them like, has Allah let you down yet? And they're like, nah, not once. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
well, then
true.
why, what?
Honestly.
Statistically, there's like, what are the chances that he's gonna let you down then?
Mm.
Because he hasn't let you down once. You know what I mean? Even I've had friends who's like, one of my good friends, his dad passed away before. We've had friends whose parents have had cancer, etc. So people have gone through really bad times. But still, they like, Allah has not let me down yet. He's got me through that, and He's allowed me to see the benefit of this, and allowed me to see the benefit of that. So, akhi, Allah hasn't let us down. But there's no doubt, akhi, if Allah knows that you want to go Hajj for His sake, akhi, you think He's not going to let you go? Like,
Of course, man,
mad.
of course.
Akhi, opportunities will come out of nowhere, bro. Nowhere, bro. One time, I was at like I think it was at the very first Light Upon Light where there was a teacher there, and he was like giving a talk, and he was mentioning that like he's like his dream to go Hajj with his wife, and in the crowd there's a guy who runs a Hajj company, and he said, I'm going to pay for your guys' Hajj. Look at that.
Allah Akbar, are you serious?
Yeah. He started crying on stage.
Wow. You know what? Having good thoughts about Allah is so important. Honestly, it's so important, because there wasn't one point in my life that was really hard, and this was only recently. It's probably about a year ago. My dad, he had cancer, right? He had a low form of bowel cancer.
Okay.
But at that time, it was very hard for my mum, I think, and for me as well. It was hard, but I was living away from my parents, so it was very hard for me to converse as much as I could. And I went there and I went and saw my dad, who was in quite a bit bad state of health because it was bowel cancer. It's not easy, and throughout this course of my dad having this, because I was so far away, it was really hard for me for it to stick in my mind, right? And I went to one of these retreats, the same retreat I was talking to you about, and I stood up, and because we're supposed to give reminders after every, randomly you're picked to give a reminder after Salah. It's crazy, yeah. So, and I stood up, and I didn't have a clue what to talk about. I didn't have a clue, and the only thing that was on my mind at that specific time was my dad, right? My dad, and how he had this issue at that point in time, right? And so I stood up, and I honestly could not say a thing. I said, you know what, brothers and sisters, not brothers and sisters, brothers, having good thoughts about Allah is so important. And then I went into talking about my father and how I've intended so much for my dad and how I want so much for my dad, yeah, within reason, obviously, Islamically, how much I want for him. And after that, I just couldn't say anything. I just started breaking down. I just couldn't say anything. I just sat back down. And after that, I really started to think about myself. And how much do I think about Allah? How much do I thank Him for the state I'm in? Yeah, because there's been so many situations that I've been in where I could have literally died in that specific time. I'm sure it's happened to you before, where you said after it, I could have died right there. That was crazy. Like even in Ramadan, after one of the appeals we had, my friend was going about 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, half asleep, and we hit a curb. Right, straight after it, my heart was like, oh my gosh. That if we went maybe a bit differently over that curb, the car could have just flipped. Yeah, and subhanAllah, having good thoughts about Allah is so important in order for you to overcome things. In order for you to overcome things, because at that specific time when my dad had this, it was very hard for me. But in order for me to have good thoughts about Allah and for things to go the right way, this inshallah will be easier for me. And after that, alhamdulillah, he's good now. Alhamdulillah, he's got over it. But my dad's crazy. Yeah, he's gonna watch this, and he always watches my stuff. Yeah, and my mum watches Freshly Grounded. As strange as it sounds.
Yeah, it does sound strange. Bye, Tim's mum.
But my dad's crazy. He's done like the 3 peaks, the mountains.
Oh, really? Is he like adventurous like that?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So seeing this, subhanAllah, he's a guy with such good health and really good health, and for this to strike him, it was crazy at the time.
I always envy fathers who are like. Who have like, has your dad got a flat stomach?
Yeah, he's
like he's like active.
Yeah.
I envy fathers like that because in the because I see a lot of fathers. I don't want to keep saying in the Asian community because I do love the Asian community as well. I'm very much so proud of being there. I think that I think sometimes we have a tendency to like gun ourselves down a bit too much. But
not just Asian. I think it's the Muslim community. We eat a lot.
Yeah.
We eat a lot.
Yeah, generally, bro. Like in my head, when I think of like a father, you do think of a dad bod. So I don't want to be the guy who has a dad bod. I want to inshallah be a father who has a flat stomach and stuff. So inshallah. So you have to really force yourself. You have to remain active, don't you? You have to be.
Yeah, of course. Honestly, like most of our jobs. Like, let's be honest. Most people the jobs we have, we're not on our feet 24/7, doing stuff actively, and then going to gym, and being active, etc. So we're bound to build some form of it. But if you're just gonna let it get to you, halas, man, you're done.
You're done.
You're done.
Especially,
yeah.
my uncle, runs 5 kilometers a day.
Allahu Akbar.
Mad.
Allahu Akbar.
And he's like over 50. Like.
I remember you had that brother. You had a brother on recently. You did the thing to Paris.
Bro,
Not to
yeah,
Paris,
that guy. He London to Hajj.
London to Hajj. Yeah. We did. I remember when they just finished, right? Because we were working for Imam John, and at that time, we were doing the Hajj show. I don't know if you remember it.
I did the Hajj show.
Yeah, you were there, and remember we got them on Skype. Do you remember?
Did we?
Literally, they were there inside. I think they were inside the tower.
Yeah, because I was doing the Hajj show that year, I think.
Yeah, they were inside. They were. I don't know where they were. Sorry, not sure about the tower, but they were in. They were on a Skype call, and they just finished.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Just finished. And you know what? SubhanAllah. It was amazing, man. Seeing that and seeing these brothers having that zeal and having that energy and having that fitness as well. Me personally, I would never have been able to do that.
Yeah, actually, these are guys who are like middle-aged men who are riding their bikes from London.
I can only play football, Sunday League football, and that's it.
That's good. That's active, bro. I don't think I play any sports.
Yeah, but I keep injuring myself, so.
I want to get back into sports. I used to play every Wednesday. I used to play football in Cardiff. I used to play football every Wednesday, and then like me and Only would sometimes. This sounds so weird, yeah, but we found like a squash place near where we live. So like, should go? In uni, bro, you just have time for everything.
Yeah.
So like, bro,
do whatever you want.
So we started playing squash. We done football every week. We were doing like everything. Like if the sun was out, because it was in Wales, you'd play a bit of rugby. Like, and now the only thing I do that's active really is hit the gym. Yeah,
I've not gone gym in time.
No, have I, bro?
I saw by that picture you put on the YouTube video. Wow, that looked ajib, bro. I looked proper fat. Allahu Akbar on that photo you put. You know, mashallah, the new brother, the brothers, the new YouTube podcast you just done.
Yeah.
Remember you did the slide picture of me and
you didn't know that picture.
Ajib, bro, that was ajib. I saw it. Mashallah. But yeah, we need to talk about the brother, bro. Mashallah, he spoke about me, so may Allah bless him.
Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn, mashallah. Epic story, Allahu Akbar.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, you really put me out there, man.
Oh, bro, that's a bad picture.
That's a bad picture.
That's a really bad picture.
I didn't realise. Like this on my phone.
Actually, you don't look like that. You don't look like that, bro.
That is mid-Ramadan, no haircut.
Yeah, you look chubby in that picture, but that is not what you look like at all, bro. You're not fat in any way.
There's a Red Bull next to me and everything.
Yeah, that's a very bad picture in hindsight.
You put me on the spot there. Allah Akbar, man.
Forgive me.
Allah Akbar.
You don't look like that, to be fair. You look like a very podgy little kid there, but in no way do you look like that in real life, bro. Allahumma barik. You're not in any way.
That's mid-Ramadan, no haircut, in the mix of live appeals, innit?
So it was Glenn. Glenn was on here, and you mentioned Glenn because Glenn spoke about you, didn't he? When he was here a few episodes ago, and he said that the podcast that you shot on Freshly Grounded a few months ago now, he said it really affected him. He benefited from it a lot. He related to it.
Well, we were talking about that actually. How may Allah bless him though. That was an epic podcast, man. And may Allah, we need to unite, inshallah. Maybe we meet him soon, inshallah. But yeah, subhanAllah, you just see, it just shows like, you don't know how much you're going to benefit from someone just from a little thing that you said. And may Allah bless him and increase him in khair, inshallah. He said a lot of things that, a lot of reverts out there are going to relate to as well. And inshallah, he will benefit a lot of Muslims as well. Because we don't know how much we're going to benefit someone. We might go up to someone and give them a nice smile. And as we know, it's from the sunnah. You don't know how much that's going to benefit someone. Even like, subhanAllah, I remember in university, I used to go out on lunch with this a non-Muslim person, may Allah guide him, and we went to Greg's or something like that, and I bought him a sandwich, and he's like, "You all right?" And I thought, I'll just buy him a sandwich. But from that day on, it was very easy for us to go and her. It built a relationship between me and him because it was very new at university, and I went there and did it, and I did that little act, and he saw that, and he kind of built a relationship from there. And it just shows that, subhanAllah, even the words that maybe I spoke or the words that he spoke, Glenn, may Allah bless him, from there on, maybe you'll benefit a lot of Muslims. And that's why I came on here. Usually, bro, I don't even have social media. I have Facebook, but I've got the wrong name on there, so people don't find me, I haven't even got Instagram, I haven't got any of these things. But I came on here because I wanted to benefit the Muslims. usually when I'm on Iman channel, I don't even go in front of the camera. The only time I go in front of the camera is when I really see something that I really want to go out and try and do it, like the New Muslim care one. I went on there and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. And coming on here, I wanted to share these kind of stories so people at home, they can not only relate, but they can also benefit from it and take it on board and apply it as well. And this podcast is a little bit more different. I want to come on here and have a bit of a laugh with you. It's Ramadan, maybe people can benefit from what we're talking about on Eid and stuff like that. But you know, it just shows speaking khair and speaking good of Muslims and speaking of things that is going to benefit the Muslims. It could go so far, and YouTube is a massive platform for that. And you know what, there's actually something I wanted to talk to you about. Is we as Muslims, we need to find a tool. As Muslims, we need to find something in ourselves. This is what I think this was Sheikh Haytham or someone like that. I was in a course with him, and they were talking about benefiting the Muslims. How can we benefit the Muslims? We should look at ourselves and say, how are we going to benefit the Muslims? Are we going to be a scholar? Okay, if you don't want to be a scholar, okay. Maybe you've got something inside yourself. Maybe you're creative. You like doing things. For instance, Freshly Grounded is why I love it. Yeah, is we have something, we build upon it, and we benefit the Muslims in as much way as possible. Yeah. For instance, I work at Iman channel. I'm no one. I'm a miskeen. I'm a
Your pillow of Iman
channel. Astaghfirullah. You are, bro. You're the one in front of the TV.
No, but we can give it the easier, bro. You don't work hard, but we come in, we sit on the sofa, we make our demands and we leave. But that's the truth.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that we find something in ourselves, like you've done with Freshly Grounded, there's Iman channel, there's other things out there. If we're creative, maybe we're good with so many things. People are good with food. People are good with everything. Yeah, find something in yourself, develop it, and really use it to benefit the Muslims. Because before I was Muslim, I was into this media stuff. I was doing like all sorts of things. I was making videos. I was doing these kind of things. I'm not going to say what, but I did a lot of videos and I made stuff. I was in college, and after college I went to university. Before university, I was really getting into my media stuff, and I became Muslim in college, and then I went to university and did media. Now, what I'm saying is whoever's listening to this, if you're doing anything creative, you're doing something you love, think about it and see if you can use that to benefit the Muslims. Because what you've done here is honestly, Allah Mubarak, amazing. Yeah, and so many people out there, they can put stuff out there, YouTube, Instagram. If you can't do that, do something else. Do something that is really going to benefit the Muslims. Because me taking that initiative and doing it, you'll see it will bring khair into your life. It'll bring so much benefit into your life if you're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're doing something that is beneficial for the Muslims. You'll see so much benefit in your life, honestly. And me doing that, like before I came to London, there was no opportunities for me. There was nothing out there for me. I couldn't do. Maybe I was doing I was thinking of doing a documentary for Reverts, etc. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't find resources and etc. And I came to London, and I've got involved in so many, because there's so many brothers out there that can help you, and brothers and sisters that can help you, yeah. And getting involved in as much as possible and using it to your best ability, honestly, will involve your life. It will make your life so much. There'll be a lot more khair involved in your life.
Yeah, subhanallah, it's very true, bro. Using what you have, and even like you mentioned, some people are good at so many different things, and we can't all be good at everything. So we need to be able to share the responsibility and take parts. And not everyone, like you mentioned, not everyone can be a scholar. We should have high aspirations, of course, but we should do our bit, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Whenever someone talks about that, it always reminds me about the hadith that again, I'm so bad because I always try and avoid speaking about hadith and stuff because I don't know them word for word. But when it's so pertinent, it feels like you have to mention it, and it's one that the brothers and sisters should probably try and find and look up so they can find the actual one. But it's basically one where the Prophet ﷺ explains, I think, his 5 or 6 closest companions, and explains what each of them are like known for or are good at. Yeah, like he speaks about a certain part of their personality, like Uthman is, this, and Umar is strong, and etc. But it just goes to show that every single person that was mentioned there is promised Jannah, but they all have completely different traits. So it shows that as a Muslim, we don't all have to be the same person, the same type of person. You could be a Muslim but have a completely different character and trait. Maybe not character, but definitely different trait than...
even like that, the hadith about the person who he came every day. The Prophet ﷺ said that person's guaranteed Jannah, and he said, "Why is it?" And then the Sahaba, he went and stayed with him. Yeah. Everyone knows about this one. Yeah. And then the reason why Prophet ﷺ said he's guaranteed Jannah is because No, he said to the companion, there's one thing, and that is I forgive people in the evenings.
Before I go to sleep, I make sure I forgive everyone. SubhanAllah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Amazing, bro.
Just having that one little thing inside you could get you into Jannah.
Okay, and imagine in those times, for just being a Muslim, you'd be like now, to be honest, being a Muslim, you'd be subhanallah, ostracized and looked down upon, especially in the Arab world. Then being a Muslim was a new thing. Islam was this new religion, and it was against the religion of the forefathers. You'd be punished for it. So imagine the amount of abuse you'd go through, and then at the end of the night, before with all that, you would actually genuinely forgive everyone who has wronged you that day. Man, you have to have a lot of inner strength, bro.
Every day there's always something that's going to happen in our day, and do we actually take the time out?
Hey,
Innit?
it's true.
You know, I interrupted you, bro.
No, you didn't.
You was telling me about the Sahaba and the different attributes.
No, that was it.
Sorry.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. It was just that was in it, just to say that, like, it shows that we can have different traits, and I think that should be promoted. I think one problem that perhaps we tend to have, and that I definitely have, is we tend to see something that's successful and we want to emulate it and copy it, or like create our own version of that. But there's beauty in doing something else. You know, it's like Ajmal, for example, who is the bodybuilder, right? You know Ajmal, innit? Yeah. But like, imagine Ajmal seeing I can't think of a project, right? But he sees another. Let's just say as an example, Freshly Grounded. Is that Ajmal seeing Freshly Grounded and being like, all right, cool, I'm now gonna. I like the idea of it. I'm gonna create Freshly Grounded or like another version of it. For Ajmal, that'd be wasted because he has such an amazing talent in his discipline, in his fitness, and his health, that it would be wasted on him to not use that as his thing, not use that as his tool, not use that as his thing to promote, to help the Muslims to promote, because he's so great at it, right? So we do have to try and find our own thing, and sometimes it's in just trying to look inside and think, what is it that I'm good at? Because Ajmal is a very special man, and I think people don't know too much about him. And because he's not here, I'm able to talk about him. But I think people from the outside looking in see him. And for those who don't know who Ajmal is, if you go to Instagram, you type in silverback_AJ, you'll be able to see him. Then you won't be able to miss him. He's huge. He's a tank. Allahumma barik. The thing that's special about him is that you see from the outside what he looks like, and you think you make a judgment about him, or you think like, okay, this guy's health and fitness, perhaps that's all he is. But bro, this guy has a master's in I'm not gonna do it justice now.
The camera stops.
I'm gonna turn that on for a second. Astro something engineering.
Astronomical.
No, astronomical. I think that's just an adjective, baby. I think some kind of
engineering.
No.
Astrophysics.
Maybe something. He's some kind of engineering.
Yeah.
The kind where it's like to do with buildings. He's got a master's in it. I mean, he's got a first class master's. He's very, very clever. He's very intelligent, right? Yeah. He's very book smart. On top of that, he's incredibly sincere. On top of that, bro, this guy is so disciplined, bro. Like, to get the body that he has, first of all, you have to be extremely disciplined. But he I always mention that he weighs his ketchup. Like, that's the level of how much discipline he has when he comes to his food and stuff. So, he's like one of those red herrings, man. He's like a very, very special person that I think people don't know the in-depth of how special he is inside, about like his intelligence, about his discipline and stuff. They only see his body is a manifestation of his discipline and the way how hard he works, and the result of that is him like having the body that he has, but there was the inner depths of it is a lot more like detailed, which I find really interesting about him, and he tries to push goodness, and he explains his mentality, and you can see when he's explaining how to have a good diet or how to train well, how frustrated he gets, like when he's trying to tell someone, because for him he's honed this skill and this art and this discipline for over 10 years now. So then when he's explaining to a layperson like me about this health and fitness game, and I'm like, oh, but I find it hard, for him, he's like, no, like, you can do it, but he can do it, and he's very good at it, but and he's not lazy, etc. So I find people like that very interesting, man. People who have like a deeper story, I find really interesting. That's why I find someone like Yusuf from Little Hearts. Yusuf who he used to work at Muntada. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I find him very interesting because I feel like when I look at him, I feel like he has a deeper story. I don't know his story. Do you know his story?
No.
I'd love to have him on Fresh Uganda one
It'd
time.
be really good.
He definitely has a story, bro. You could tell the way he acts, the way he behaves. He's a beautiful person. He looks like I mean, everyone has a story.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Fresh Uganda. I get to hear people's stories. Because bro,
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot that we've both got that we haven't revealed on here, but there's still a lot inside of us that we can still tell.
Even the idea, you know, the fact that, for example, your dad had bowel cancer. That in itself is a story, and people go through that kind of stuff, and that in itself is like an experience that you would have gone through, and your thoughts and feelings on that are so important because people can relate to that.
Yeah, exactly.
People can relate to people who have had parents who have had cancer. In fact, you said that you were away when were you away when you found out your dad had cancer?
I was away. I was away.
I lived away when I found out my mum had cancer, and I remember being in Cardiff and being alone and not being with any of my family and hearing that news. You
can't do anything.
You can't do anything. You feel like, oh, what can I do?
And there was one point, it's so ajib, like because you're not there, you get more frustrated.
Yeah.
When things happen, you're like, you know what, and you start blaming yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what I found with myself is that when this situation happened, whenever I got frustrated, it's to that point where I'd get really, really frustrated and I'd start blaming myself. Like, why am I not with my parents? It's one of them things where you've got to really think good of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because if you don't, things are really going to start getting to you.
Speaking of you thinking good of Allah, you obviously, I know this from you, that you probably make dua every day that Allah guides your parents right to Islam.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
How do you deal with the patience aspect of that, of knowing that you're making dua for it, you know that dua of a fasting person is accepted, you know that if Allah doesn't accept your dua, either obviously we know that Allah knows better than us, and perhaps either it's not right now, or Allah has better plans in the future, etc. But how do you deal with that, knowing that you're constantly making dua for it and it hasn't yet come true?
Because you know what, the more I've made so much dua. I've made dua even whilst I was walking around the Kaaba with Abu Bakr, my friend, and I even made dua for them to be there with me at one point, walking around the Kaaba together. But it's having good thoughts about Allah, because Allah is the best of planners, and Allah guides whom He wishes. Now, it'd be crazy for me to say, you know what, my parents are going to become Muslim one day, because I don't know. I don't know if they're going to become Muslim one day. I don't know. It's their complete decision and their open decision to choose whatever they choose. Now, obviously, it's ideal for me for them to become Muslim, and I make sincere dua that they become Muslim. Inshallah, Ameen. May Allah guide them. Ameen. May Allah guide them. But it's their complete decision, but it would be a massive step. It would be. Do
you think a lot about the afterlife and about how if they were Muslims and you'd spend time with them in Jannah?
That's one thing I always think about. But again, it's whom of Allah guides. And I was thinking to this day, even if it gets to the last point in their life and they take the shahada, I would be happy. That's how content I am, because I'm having good thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if I don't have that, then I'm always going to be negative. I'll think negative about my parents. Why are you not becoming Muslim, etc., etc. Then it's just going to become crazy. But if I think good of Allah and I think good of my parents, and I say, you know what, my parents are my parents, they have their own free will, they can do whatever they want, but I'll make dua for you. And that's it. It's as simple as that. But again, if I go into that mentality where I think, you know what are they doing? Why are they not Muslim yet? Then I'm going to start thinking ill of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because at the end of the day, it's Allah who's guiding them. It's not me. I might be the tool for their guidance, but I'm not the one who guides them. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
SubhanAllah, we know that in the Quran Allah says, indeed Allah is with the patient.
Ya Allah Akbar.
SubhanAllah.
Allah Akbar.
Yeah, sometimes that ayah alone, how many words is that? Yeah. I don't know the exact translation.
Even
I think
I was
yuhibbu sabirin, right? Sabirun.
I was listening to it, like you said, Yasir Qadi was doing a tafsir on the shortest surah in the Quran.
Okay.
Al-Kawthar. Yeah. And he was talking about how Al-Kawthar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we have already given you Al-Kawthar previously, in previous tense, past tense, and how we have given you Al-Kawthar, we have given you the blessings, and then he talks about how after that you should pray your salah, straight after it, you pray to your Lord, how you should pray to your Lord. And in this is a very short. What I've just gave you is amazing in reflecting upon what Allah has given us and being patient, because already been given our blessings. We have got Islam. We have the Shahada. We have the Islam. But do we pray our Salah and do we think good of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because we have reflected upon that, or do we just pray our Salah because we just pray our Salah? Do we actually think about the ni'mah and the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given? Do we think about on that day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, the pool that will be given, the water that will be given to us is from Al-Kawthar. The blessings is from it. And we know that water from that and Kawthar, if we drink it, we will never ever be thirsty. It will just be for pleasure after drinking it. There's so many things in our life, right, that are blessings. Us being here right now, speaking on this mic, being on YouTube, doing all these kind of things is a blessing. It's a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But do we really think good of Allah after it? When bad things come, when things like my dad has cancer or your mom has cancer or these things and there's been plenty of more things in my life which has affected me. But if we don't think good of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how are we going to think? And how are we going to accept the blessings that Allah has given us? Honestly, really, listening to that tafsir was amazing, man. Honestly, it was amazing. And it really opened my eyes. And I only listened to it on the way here.
Oh, really?
On the way here, I was listening to it.
Sometimes it's the things that you listen to most recent that obviously stick with us.
Yeah.
Of
course, yes.
When we were at Freshly Grounded 100, we had a question from the crowd. And the question...
Forgive me for not coming, man. I was working that day, man.
It's my fault, bro, because I originally obviously mentioned it and then I should have followed it up with you as well. So forgive me, Akhi, man.
No.
We had a question from the crowd, and the question was to Sam, and this lady, she said, what was your parents' reaction when you became a Muslim? So Sam answered the question. He said, they were a bit confused, etc. And once she asked the question, I was like, I recognize that voice. And our producer Nate, who became Muslim about 2 years ago, I realised that it's his mum who asked that question, who's not Muslim, right? And so I was like, this is a good da'wah opportunity, bro. Like, she's obviously opening she's opened her heart up to a point where she's in front of 400 people who asked the question. But Sam didn't clock that it was Nate's mum. And Sam just answered it quickly and then he passed it on. And so I said to Bilal, what was it like for you when your mum became a Muslim?
Oh, that's epic.
And he went in, bro. He's like, my mum, all I ever wanted is my mum to become a Muslim. And he said that what happened is, one day I had these debates from Ahmadiyya, and I put it on one day. I was at the house and my mum started watching it, and my mum was like a proper practicing Christian. And my mum started watching it, and she was like seeing the Christian debate the Muslim, and then the Muslim was like logically like answering go through the debate and like deconstructing Christianity, but the Christian was just like, Jesus is the King of Kings and this that kind of stuff. That's what he said. And he said that his mom, who's a practical Christian, who's on the side of Christian, she's like looking at it, she's like, why are you like, she's saying to the Christian, why are you not just replying to him, why are you avoiding the question? And then the Muslim was like, look in the Bible, chapter this, chapter chapter this, verse this. And so his mum got out of the Bible and she was like, oh my God, he's right. And as she's reading it, tears just start running down her face. She's like, the Muslim is right. And he said that at that point I ran upstairs to my bedroom, I prayed 2 rakat, and I said, Allah, please guide my mum. Okay, this is how he's telling the story. Okay, he's giving goosebumps in the crowd. Imagine this in front of 400 people. He's the way he's telling the story, the drama. And actually, Nate's mum just asked the question. So imagine, and actually we're all captured, and he's going, I made the ask, I said, Allah, please guide my mum. Please, like, all I ask you is you guide my mum. Please, like, guide her, bring her to Islam. And he said that his mum said to him, this is so sometime later, his mum said to him, look, he was going to Egypt to study Islam, and so his mum goes, look, before you go to Egypt, the day before you go, I want to spend the whole day with you. I've blocked off my entire day, just me and you, we're going to spend time together. He's like, alright, cool, but it's Eid that day. So he said, I have to go to my Eid Salah. So she's like, alright, cool. So he wakes up for Eid, and he's this last day before he goes to Egypt. He's probably going for a couple of years to study, So he wakes up, and he comes downstairs, and his mum goes, where are you going? And he's like, I'm just going to Eid Salah. She's like, yeah, I'm coming with you. And he's like, nah, And she goes, remember I said we're spending the day together today, all day. And he said, yeah, but I'm just going for a salah for Eid and I'll come back, we'll spend the day together. She's like, no, I said we'll spend the day together, we're going to spend the whole day together, inshallah. She's like, we'll come Eid. She goes, your sister's got me, and then his sister comes down, and his sister's like around his age. And she goes, yeah, me and mum, we bought our headscarves already, we come and eat prayer with you. So bruv, they go Regent's Park Mosque, yeah. They go Regent's Park Mosque now, and he goes with his boy to Eid Salah. So his boy and his wife, and then him, and then his sister and his mum, they all go to Eid Salah. And they go to the sister section, and him and his boy go to the men's section. So they go Eid Salah now, and he says, alright, cool, I'll meet you guys at the car park, after, blah, blah, blah. They do the Eid Salah, and he's texting his mum or his sister, and he's like, come on, like, I'm waiting for you outside, blah, blah. And his friend, whose wife is with his mum and sister in a women's section, his friend texted him saying they're ready to take their shahada. So and Bilal doesn't know any of this yet. So his friend goes to Bilal. He's like, yo, hurry up. And then his friend goes to Bilal, yo, my wife just said that your mum and your sister are ready. And he goes, well, then tell them to hurry up because I'm ready. Like, they need to go. And he goes, no, they're ready to take their shahada. And he said he said I could have asked Allah to take my life there and then. Because I was happy. Allah, I'm ready to die. My mum and sister have taken a shahada.
And the sister as well.
Yeah, the sister. When he told that story, Nate's mum, I didn't see her, but they told me after that the whole story that was being told, his mum was crying.
No way.
May Allah guide to Islam.
I mean,
because he's a revert as well, bro. You know that's what he wants. And he wants his mum to become Muslim. He makes the effort for his mum to become Muslim. And just like you, like his mum's heart is open to Islam, and she sees the beauty in Islam. And everyone has their challenges. But even for her to ask that question, I saw something in it. You know, I thought
softness in the heart. Yeah.
There's something where she's intrigued. She's not just there for her son. She's there to. She's interested in the conversation. So she asked the question, I think, man, and bro, do you know what, bro? With that being said, bro, we're actually planning another Freshly Gone event. No one knows this actually, so I shouldn't be announcing it now. But we're working towards another event, inshallah, and it's looking to be a good one. And so I'd love for you to come, and maybe for your parents to come as well.
Yeah, inshallah,
to the next one, inshallah.
Because mum and dad are watching.
Yeah, please. This is an invite, man. And our events at Freshly Gone are not like Islamic events, bro. There's no like Islamic lectures. It's just entertainment, but it's halal, and we do talk about the beauty of Islam at some points, but it's not heavy at all. And I think if you watch Freshly Gone episode 100, which is it's on YouTube, you'll see it. It's just entertainment. It's fun, but it's well, we don't sacrifice our morals. And we got a really cool one planned, inshallah. We're just kind of locking down some finalities for it, but yeah, you guys definitely, man, front row seats, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah, man.
Khair, inshallah.
Like, what beautiful story from Bilal.
Yeah, that was amazing, man.
Yeah. And I don't do justice, bro.
No, that was amazing. Obviously, the way he would explain it would be amazing, but the way you just told me was epic, man.
But
you never know. You never know.
You never know who's watching, who's listening, and who could take heed from me. And
at what point as well? Because I've honestly, I've never forced anything onto my parents, but you never know what can turn their heart. You never know what can turn their heart.
Bro, it's true, man. I remember when I first started practicing, actually, I would be just harsh with the deen, just like most people. And the first person I was harsh with was my brother, because he was my best friend, bro. I said my granddad's my best friend, bro. I have lots of best friends. My brother was one of my closest friends, bro. And I used to do everything with him. And so for me, I just wanted to save him from the hellfire almost. Like I knew, like I had this magic key, akhi, that would save everyone. I got the key to Jannah, akhi, subhanAllah. So I was really harsh. For years, for like a good year, akhi, our relationship turned sour almost, because it was horrible, akhi. He couldn't relate to me, I couldn't relate to him. We couldn't go to the same places anymore, and it was not nice. And guess what softened his heart, bro? You'll be shocked. One of the things that he told me that softened his heart. Imagine for like ages. And so eventually I slowed down in my da'wah to him and to my family, because I realised that it's not the right effect and stuff. And so then I start focusing on myself, and I said to myself, you know what, before you can start helping your family, you need to work on yourself. So I started working on my own character and stuff. And maybe like 2 years after or 3 years after, we were walking back from Juma one day, back to the office, and bro, I had something in my beard, and he goes, bro, you got something in your beard. Bro, imagine this, bro. After all the effort I'm trying, bro. He goes, bro, you got something in your beard. I said, bro, do you know what that? And just off the top of my head, because I wasn't trying to give da'wah at this point. It just reminded me of something. I went, oh, bro, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of that hadith where the narration that we're told that the believer is the Muslim, the believer is a mirror to his Muslim brother.
Yeah.
So I said, look at how mad it is. Like, you told me that something in my beard. I wouldn't have known the something in my beard, but you, like my mirror, you want me to look good. You want me to represent Islam. You want me to, like, you know there's something in your beard, so you're looking out for me. And I said, that reminded me of that hadith, and we kept on walking. Actually, like 6 months later, a year later or something, he's telling me, he said, bro, that time you told me that hadith, he said, it just changed me, man. He's like, I was shocked. It was just like, just hearing that, I was like, wow, like, and I was like, wow, like, I've never heard that hadith, like, make someone, like, change or something.
Exactly.
But, bro, you don't know.
You
don't know, because that person might be thinking, wow, look at how Islam has an answer for everything. You don't know what it could take. But I was just like, oh, right, that reminds me of the hadith. So since that day, I've never belittled if something has reminded me of a hadith or a narration to say it. Like, even if it just reminded me, that's why yesterday even I said to the brothers, I said, oh, this reminds me of that hadith like Aisha radiallahu anha with the cheek to cheek, because that hadith changed me. That hadith just got me that, because I never knew, before I started practicing, I never knew the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a man who was romantic, or as a man who his wives were like soft and they experienced normal things. I never knew that. So for me, that was new, and so that changed me. So we don't know, bro. Little things remind you of little things, bro.
Honestly, as you was talking then, it just made me think about all this podcast. This podcast we've just done. Yeah. Everything's fitted in together. You know that? It's all fitted into one thing. And because we started it with the revert thing about the Eid and how one thing can change their mind. Honestly, one little thing, because Eid's so close. Whoever's listening or watching this, try your best to make someone's day on Eid. And that's what I'm saying. Man. Even if it's your close family who's maybe not practicing, or even it's a revert who doesn't have anyone around them, anyone, just try your best on Eid to make people happy. And that's it.
Yeah, and I think the responsibility does fall on the people who are trying to, let's say for example you have your family, you want them to become closer to Allah, and you yourself feel close to Allah, the responsibility does fall on you a bit to really show how good Eid can be.
Yes.
And so to go that extra mile in that buying presents, in doing stuff that is uncomfortable for me right now to buy a present, it's a bit expensive, but for the long term, for me to buy my mum a gift, but not just buy my mum a gift, but to buy her a gift that she really wanted. Because she'll know that, my son or my daughter for Eid, like when this extra mile, like the only reason they done it was for Eid. Especially when, as a Muslims, sometimes we have struggles around the year when we're like trying to avoid Mother's Day and Father's Day and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes you feel a bit guilty because of what's going around in our society. Of course, yeah. So on Eid to go, like, you know what, it's a struggle a bit, but if I stretch, I can actually get my mum, like, not a nice candle for her house, which would be a nice gift, bro. Like a nice Joe Malone candle, that'd be a nice gift. It's not cheap. I mean, it costs like 60 quid for a Joe Malone candle. It'd be a very nice gift. But I know it's not cheap. But but I know that my mum has always wanted, like, and not even something religious, bro. Not always like a trip to Umrah or something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like something that just like is like that. She's always wanted it could be like anything, like the TV in our house is old. You know what I mean? Like, but it's a lot to buy a TV, or like the or she's wanting to have her bath. She constantly talking to me about getting her bathroom done, and it costs so much money to get a bathroom done. But I'm gonna save up all year round, because her bathroom's gonna cost like £2,500. I'm gonna say like, all year round, so like, on an Eid, I can say, Mum, for Eid, here's £2,500 to cover your bathroom. Or her car's been banged up for 5 years, and you save up so you can buy her a car. But big things, bro. Like, but obviously we can't all afford that kind of stuff. I know I couldn't afford to buy anyone a car, but even on a smaller scale, still stretching something that they would value, bro. I think getting a gift is always an amazing thing, but getting a gift that someone needs is something else, bro. Like I always say, I think I can't remember who it was, but someone I know who they, like, one family member, they always go to Pakistan, right? And they always buy me salwar kameez, yeah. And I'd always be like, Jazakallah khair, it's really nice to have them to buy me that gift. And they probably went out and they got my measurements, and they probably went for a lot of effort for that, yeah. And for that, I'm very grateful. However, I don't really wear salwar kameez. Whereas
you should wear one on your podcast one day, bro.
Yeah, I wore one the other day when I done a few weeks ago. I had some people around my house.
Yeah.
But I think then someone, what they did is they bought me akhi, one time something that, or that same person, they bought me something that was like, what was it? Okay, it's coming to me. It's so frustrating actually, but it was something that I really like, or that I would actually use, and it was a lot cheaper than a salwar kameez. But I valued it so much because I will use it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to look at people and think, what would they use? What do they need? And it's important, bro. It's important.
Yeah, of course.
Buying gifts, I think there's an art to it, man.
It's art, definitely. Yeah.
The art is like listening out of, and especially as Muslims, you buy gifts often. We should listen out for things that people around us like sometimes mention, and then we should be like, oh, I heard you mention this, I got you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be cheap, bro. Like someone might be saying, oh, bro, how mad would it be that if I don't know if if you could have, I always mention smart technologies around now because I love it. But if someone's like, oh, how mad would it be if you could like turn off the light with my phone? If I could turn the light off with my phone, imagine it costs like £10 akhi, to buy a smart bulb from Amazon that you could turn. So I can imagine you, for a tenner, you go, oh, I remember you mentioned this. Look, I got you a smart bulb. Or you find out what bulb their room takes. You know what I mean? And then getting little things like it shows effort, bro. But it's £10. So it goes. There's thinking about a gift goes a long way, bro. Thinking about a gift goes a long way. Oh, I saw you struggle with this, so I got you this. You're always asking for a charger, so I got you a power bank. You know what I mean? Actually, like little things. But even though it sounds silly, these gifts I think are the most valuable ones because there's something that makes a difference.
Of course, because it shows that you're thinking about them.
Yeah, you thought hard.
When you're talking to each other, you're actually listening and paying attention. No, definitely, man. I'm doing that. And you know what? I'm looking forward to Eid, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Eid.
I challenge you to buy someone close to you something that you struggle to think of, or something that you have to take time to think of, but that they would really use or they would really value. Because I think that they will really benefit from that gift.
Yeah,
it's very easy for us to buy people Quran, buy people, and people have loads of Qurans, buy people, like I said, like a candle for their house, or there's no a gift set, akhi. Like, you know, the aftershave and the deodorant, typical gift set, like for £10. It's very easy to buy people that.
Yeah.
But imagine, for example, your uncle, who travels a lot, and you could go £10 TK Maxx, and you can get him. Let me give you 2 seconds.
Inshallah. What time does it stop at usually? Your camera.
It's at 25 minutes. Yeah. You can go TK Maxx, bro, and you can buy him that a £15 aftershave set. It's got aftershave, it's got deodorant. Cool. You're giving the present, akhi. Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair, Eid Mubarak, and that's it. Khalas, job done. And he's happy, you're happy. But that's it, right? Or,
that's true.
Bro, or you know your uncle travels a lot, and you think to yourself,
okay, he travels,
he travels a lot. I mean, you think about this. There's this new padlock that's out, on Amazon, that you unlock with your fingerprint. What a sick present, bro. So you padlock your suitcase and then you do your fingerprint and unlock.
That's epic.
Bro, it costs £24. For an extra £10, bro, you could get a gift that's like, wow, that's sick. Like, you really thought about the fact that I travel a lot. Look at this new thing. So, but he would never buy that for himself because who? No one has money to like, quote unquote, waste on that for themselves. You know what I mean? Like, bro, there's more things in the world that I need to spend money on than for me to buy myself a padlock that opens with my thumbprint. It's just a waste of money for me.
Because right? Buying gifts increases the love. Increases the love for one another.
But if it's a gift, it's a nice gift, innit? So I think things I think is important. Actually.
No, it's so true.
I mentioned the padlock because that's actually a gift that I'm planning to buy for.
Just gave it away, man.
Yeah, but I don't think my uncle listens to this. My uncle travels a lot and he's here, so I'm going to buy him that padlock, inshallah.
That's my good idea for me as well, man.
Actually, there's loads of guys that use it, bro.
Inshallah. So you're looking forward to Eid?
I love Eid,
yeah. You're doing Eid in the park? Oh no, you're all the way west, innit?
Iman tried booking me for Eid in the park and I go out of it.
Is it?
Yeah, man. I said, brother's Eid is hard.
Last year, I think it was, how many people, man? Was it 40,000?
Yeah, I did last year. I presented it last year. Are you doing Eid in the park this year?
Yeah. Bro, I was there. I got baked to a potato that day.
So your mum and dad come to Eid in the park?
Yeah, inshallah.
I guess too far for me, bro.
Not on that day, specific day. They're coming the day after.
Okay, because it's a 2-day thing.
Yeah, the 2-day thing. But they're going to come on for the weekend. So obviously there's the little thing on there. But obviously it's more, not so much about going to the park, it's about them being with me and my wife and the family as well. Inshallah.
Well, I find Eid in the park difficult because it's Valentine's Park, which is miles from me.
Yeah.
And then Eid is such a busy day, as I mentioned. You have to spend some time at my house, some time at the in-laws. I want to take my missus out and stuff. And so Eden Park, driving like hour and a half to Eden Park, doing work, presenting a show, and then like leaving. And then, you know, it's not just going there, presenting a show and leaving. Like, you end up staying, and then, you know, you might be needed to present some more later on. The schedule, you know what it's like, the schedule changes. It's like, oh, sorry, you were meant to be at 10 o'clock and now you're at 3 o'clock.
I think just
it's like 5 hours though.
Yeah, for me, it was last year was amazing because you see so many different walks of people.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah. And I love my parents seeing that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? Because up north, it is, I'll be honest, it's only two cultures that are really up north. Like, from what my parents see inside of that area that they used to live in. Obviously, in the cities, it's a bit more diverse.
What are the cultures?
It's more Pakistani and African.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, that's all they really saw inside of Doncaster. But they know that Islam is diverse. You know, they know that Islam is diverse. But to actually physically see all the different kind of people inside the Eid and inside the park at the same time doing the same thing, it's amazing. And
have they met other white Muslims for them to like know that you're not like the only one?
They've met Farouk.
Okay.
Who else? No, that's it. I think they've only met Farouk. They've met, you know, Abu Bakr, my manager. Yeah, they've met him and they spent a lot of time with him before I got married, because he was like their little chauffeur. Near my wedding time, they were like, he was driving my parents around and stuff. And my parents really, because he's near to the age. You know what I'm trying to say? He's nearer to the age, so he's. No offense, Abu Bakr, you know, if you're watching, yeah, but I probably won't. But
I really want AB on the podcast. I love him.
He would never. I don't think he'd ever come.
Nah, I've convinced him, bro.
No way.
Yeah, he's down, but we're just trying to figure out schedules now.
Oh, that would be epic.
Yeah. Akhi, that would be the best.
You go on. Which Abu Bakr are you talking about?
BAB.
Yeah. The AB. Yeah. But yeah, so them being around him was really good for them. I think it was really good for them because it was around their age. You know, you relate to them and stuff like that. But it was amazing, like them coming and seeing all these different walks of people. It's probably the main reason. No, it's not. It's been around family, but this is one of the main reasons why I like them coming here. It's because they see that diversity. Definitely. It's
lovely to see that you love so much for them. Like, you can see your love for your parents straight away, because someone who didn't love their parents wouldn't constantly be thinking about what they feel now. Are they happy? Are they comfortable? Are they like, okay, I want to do this, and not only that, but it shows your love for them, that because there's contentment in being Muslim. There's contentment in being Muslim, but the fact that you want it so bad for your parents shows how much you love them, because you
also for my brother as well. Yeah, my brother's watching this. I've not mentioned. You know what? I feel bad as well. I'm not mentioning him once.
Tim's brother, he does care about you a bit.
I do care about you.
Colin, he does care about Colin.
Johnny.
I think it's Colin.
No.
Oh, Johnny.
So you were saying.
I was saying that the fact that you want Islam for your parents and for Johnny,
he's gonna laugh watching.
It's so beautiful, because it shows how much you love them, and the reason it shows how much you love them is because you could just love them, right, for this dunya, and then be like, all right, and then once I die. It's nafsi anyway, because in Jannah you don't feel sad, bro.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
So you could be like, look, I'm going to love them for this life. I'm going to treat them well. I'm going to love them. But khalas, once this life's done, it's done. And I'm going to be happy in Jannah anyway. It's not possible to be sad in Jannah. So I don't need to stress about my parents, my family. But you're not saying that. You love them so much that you want them to be in Jannah.
Yeah.
You want them to be that happy. And so, because you want that, that's what I find so beautiful about Islam, is that you love someone for the next life as well as this life. You love them so much that, like, I want you to be happy after you're dead as we can
if we're in Jannah together, and we can
but also so you can be happy, and so you can be successful, and that's Jannah, right? That's afterlife, but also so that they can have good in this life, because we know that you just never feel complete happiness and complete peace and serenity until you are Muslim, because the minute you do become a Muslim, you get a contentment in your heart
Like, trust me,
you get a deep breath, like, alright, I feel like
you have a meaning to life.
You have a meaning to life.
Not saying that no one has a meaning to life, a bit of, but Islam it gives you that meaning to life. Honestly, it does. Like, before I was Muslim, I was a bit all over the place. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I was a bit like miskeen. I was doing bad things, going into bad stuff, and having that Islam, not only does it put you in the right mind frame, but it gives you that meaning for life. So you're not thinking, oh, what am I doing? Like, if I do something wrong, I'm like, oh. But when you do something wrong when you're a Muslim, it's like you think about it and you do reflect upon it, and you make sure if you are sincere, that you won't do it again.
And it's nice to know that there's a method to everything. Well, Islam is the true religion. But it's nice. But the other beauty that I find in Islam is that sometimes before practicing or before if people are not Muslim, perhaps you go down a really dark path and you think, well, what happens now? Yeah, like I'm not talking about death. I'm talking about like you could go through depression, or you could like just have a really bad day, or you could be in a sticky situation and you don't know what the solution is, or you might have done something that you regret. But Islam gives an answer for everything. So it's like you can never hit rock bottom, inshallah. Obviously people do hit rock bottom. I'm not saying that it's impossible to have struggles with depression and stuff as a Muslim. Of course you do.
You gotta make it easy for those who do.
I mean. But I'm saying that I feel like there's a layer just above rock bottom that you can hit, because you know that everything is willed by Allah. So for an example is, again, Only, my friend whose dad passed away, actually, that's like as rock bottom as you can get for someone like him who his whole life, actually, like his dad was his mentor, bro. Like but by being a Muslim, there was a service level of, I'm very sad, and it's like one of the hardest things that I'll probably ever have to go through in life, but alhamdulillah, I know that Allah has given me the rulings now. Okay, now I can make dua for him. Now I can give sadaqah for him.
Yeah.
Now I can, alhamdulillah, he died a Muslim. I can try and be a good son to him, because he can be raised on their judgment by my deeds and stuff. So you be given this list.
Yeah.
So you know. So it's
understanding
never,
Allah's qadr.
Yeah. So there's always like a way. Or like, let's say if you commit a really bad sin and you're like, I feel guilty, I feel horrible. But then in Islam, you know, okay, I need to make tawbah, then I need to follow up with good deeds, etc.
You know why it's really important understanding that and really cherishing it is because if you understand Allah's qadr and you understand why things happen for the reason that they happen, yeah, you can use this throughout your life. Yeah, and I've experienced this in my relationship with my wife and stuff like that. There's been things that have happened, right? And to have that understanding, to implement it and to remind each other of Allah's qadr and why things happen the way they happen, it can benefit you in the long term and for your relationships with people. And it's really important to understand these things. Really important to understand these, because like when you go through hardship, and you'll always go through hardship, whether you're going through hardship now, if you're not, and you're going to go through it later on in life, you're going to understand it now, inshallah. If you begin that journey of gaining knowledge in Allah's creed, then inshallah. I was going to say qadr and then I'll say creed at the same time, but you know, if you understand Allah's creed, inshallah, things will become a lot easier, because you'll think good of Allah, you understand him. How do we expect to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if we don't understand him? If we don't know his attributes? You're still laughing at me. If you don't understand...
No, you know, something about Farouk.
Yeah.
I don't know how you say it. I was thinking he needs to add
Min creed.
Yeah.
Allah Akbar. No, but you know what?
I love Farouk, akhi.
Yeah, I miss him, man.
Akhi, it's true what you're saying, bro. I understand the qadr is so important, and it's something. It's a journey that we're, I suppose, always going to be upon. Trying to understand trying to understand creed, trying to understand his qadr, and then taking those steps.
But for those who don't,
on that journey,
let's speak about for those people maybe who are on that journey, yeah, and they're going through hardship and they don't understand Allah's creed. What do they do in that instance?
That's what I'm saying, akhi.
Yeah, because there is probably a lot of people maybe who will listen to this who are going on that journey to wanting to start practicing. Yeah, the best things to do is to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves for everything that you do for his sake, even if it's the smallest thing. Yeah, and to understand, yeah, that everything you do for Allah's sake is what's best for you and for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. Yeah,
and also understanding where in the Quran Allah tells us that perhaps there's a thing that you need to do that you don't like, but it is better for you, and perhaps there's something that you like but it is not good for you, but you do not know, and Allah knows all things, basically. That's not direct translation by any sense it means, but the point is that there are some things that we just don't understand, but we feel like, nah, this is good for me, but Allah knows better than us.
Yeah, of course. He
knows better than us what's good for us, and we don't always see the great. We don't always see the picture. I love the analogy that we have the pixel and Allah has the picture.
Yes, subhanallah.
Yeah, that really hits me, akhi.
Yeah,
bro, before we round up the podcast, I wanted to discuss something very briefly with you, and it was this: when you became a Muslim, you started jumping on the path of like trying to seek knowledge, right? Like learning Arabic, being able to read the Quran, and alhamdulillah you're able to read the Quran now. When some people become a Muslim, it's hard for them to take that next step to actually learn Arabic, to read the Quran, and not even when people become Muslim, maybe people in general, bro. What inspired you to, as soon as you became Muslim, to actually start seeking knowledge as well?
Okay, so my journey, as it was, is when I became Muslim, I knew how to pray. I got told how to pray Salah, these kind of things, yeah, and I knew the basics, right? But obviously I didn't know Tajweed, I didn't know Quran, I didn't know these things, yeah. But when I came to university and I got involved in an ISOC, yeah, this is where doors started to open for me, and I met different types of people. I actually met my Quran teacher inside university. He was the Amir of the ISOC. He left university, but he was coming back doing another degree after he finished what he did, and that's where I learned, yeah. Inside ISOC, I learned another brother who took me into a path where there was I was learning under someone, and then I went into another path, etc., etc. I'm not going to go into all, yeah. But what I'm saying is the root of having knowledge is being around people who will always, like you're saying about the mirror thing, yeah, who will reflect. You will take from them what you want and what Allah has created for you, subhanAllah. So being in the ISOC is an initiative in itself. If you're listening to this podcast, you're watching this podcast, and you're in your university days, and you want to begin practicing, look into the ISOC. 100%. I've always said that because that's where I began practicing, and I've always said this: that university will make or break someone. You'll either go into the road of practicing, or you'll take from university and leave it as it wills, or you'll go in there and you'll get involved in things that you shouldn't be getting involved in. So number one is maybe find an ISOC, or number two, that's how I started practicing. Is my ISOC was, alhamdulillah, it was good, and I got involved with some brothers who were in there, etc. If you're not in an ISOC, then maybe find an institute or people in the masjid nearby you, or speak to some brothers that you may know or family that can get you involved within an institute, or maybe work fi sabilillah for some charities. You'll meet people there, or maybe work for some other Islamic organizations, and then give them a hand, and then you'll find people there, and they will get you involved in things that will inshallah benefit you. Because if you do things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those will start opening up for you. For instance, charity, or for doing things in Islamic organizations, you will guarantee find people that will benefit you, inshallah.
Barakallahu feek.
Inshallah.
Bro, jazakallah khair.
May Allah accept our Ramadan, man.
I mean.
Ramadan's gone. Allah Akbar.
SubhanAllah, it's true, akhi. There's ممكن 2 days left, akhi. ممكن 2 days, akhi. 2-3 days.
اللغة ضعيف, man.
akhi.
اللغة. SubhanAllah. May Allah bless us and grant us Jannah.
Ameen.
Allow us to reunite there as well, bro.
Akhi, may Allah
We've been talking about
guide your family,
being in Jannah.
bring them to the deen, akhi, man. It's such a beautiful story, akhi. Like, since I've known you, akhi, like, your love for your family has always like been something that like resonates for you. So ask Allah to have mercy.
You destroyed your set, bro.
It's fine, bro. No, akhi, and likewise.
I always enjoyed coming on here, bro. Honestly, I enjoyed my first on this one as much as I did for both of them, bro. Honestly, it was epic.
Akhi, we know that on Yawm al-Qiyamah, akhi, there will be people who, on a day when there is no shade, one of the types of people who will be given shade are people who love each other for Allah's sake. So ask Allah to allow us to have shade on that day.
Ameen.
For the love for His sake, akhi.
May Allah bless you, bro.
Ameen, akhi, man. Jazakallahu khair. Brothers and sisters, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, men and women, this was Freshly Grounded, episode 107, I think. Yeah, man, we're climbing the ranks here.
Allahu Akbar.
Jazakallahu khair for listening. The next time you guys will see us will be after Eid. 106. The next time you guys will see us will be after Eid. So enjoy your Eid. It's a day of eating, a day of drinking, a day of celebrating, a day of family. Be safe. Don't let it be a day of celebrating the shaitan. Because that's something that can often come. It's just because they're celebrating, it doesn't mean we celebrate the shaitan coming back. You know, some people use Eid. Some people use Eid as a shaitan's reunion party. Welcome back, shaitan, akhi.
I've not heard that, bro.
Yeah, akhi. So we need to make sure that it's not like a celebration for the shaitan, but enjoy, man. Eat, drink, but maybe cool it with some
Don't
stuff.
forget the reverts. Please, don't forget the reverts.
Don't forget the reverts. And also, bro, one last bit, bro, is that one time, I heard this, I have to mention it because I was shocked. One time, it's like Eid is Eid or is it Ramadan or something, yeah. I think it might be Ramadan a few years back, yeah. And he was like, and basically, okay, there's this guy driving, there's a group of lads driving, yeah, and they're like blasting their music or something, like, and they see a girl on the street. It's like, I think she must be like a hijabi sister or something. They see a sister, and imagine as Muslims, like our sisters, we like protect them, we love them, we are more like they are sisters, innit?
Of course, yeah.
And this guy, bro, he like stuck his head out the window and he's like, yo, if it, he's like something like, yo, Chung Ting, if it wasn't Ramadan, I would grab your number or something like that.
Allah,
and I was like, brother, like, think about what you just said, bro. You know what I mean, bruv, like, I felt, and you think of who you're saying to as well, okay, this is like, I know I sound like I'm having a piety attack here, I'm not trying to be like, but it just hit me, bruv, like, I felt like a sense of ghira for her here, and I don't know who she was, I didn't even see her, bro, but it was like, I can't remember if it was Eid or Ramadan, because they might have said, if it wasn't Eid, but let's not make it a shaitan celebration party, bro. You know what I mean?
No, there's a narration. I think Ibn Jawzi said that the horses, when they race near the end of the race, they start picking up and going fast. So let these last few days, if it's still the last few days, it will be. Yeah, it will be. Let them be the best days of our Ramadan, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Like you said, because we don't want to get involved in things like that anymore.
Actually, we don't want to.
Last 10 days, let's just focus on ibadah, inshallah.
100%, bro. Barakallahu feek.
Epic, man.
106.
Epic, mashallah. Mashallah, tabarakallah.
He has been Tim Randle. I haven't finished Sharjah. We're out. Alhamdulillah.